I do love a good joke. And this is the best ever. A joke on the children.
This is the Horrible Film School. Take a seat and slowly rip open your Trapper Keepers. I am Chris Purdy, and I am here with racy Ryan Hootie.
I'm looking forward to picking out my Macs today, fellas.
And the silver shamrock himself, Mr. Nasty, a.k.a. my big brother, Joey.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Feels good to be back, fellas. Woo!
Spoiler alert, these are not live recordings, so we're recording this a few weeks before the glorious holiday to come. But we do hope you have a happy and safe Halloween. Maybe not safe if you're into that.
Have
candy.
a happy Halloween.
I told you, we called it. Me and Hootie said he would be singing this fucking song by the end of the podcast.
It's super, super catchy. Some would call it an earworm of a song.
Yes, I got some business up front here. Just wanted to shout out some new designs we got on our merch store. You hit up thehorriblefilmschool.com. You can get a link to that. Also our Instagram, where we're pretty active. So yeah, we got a voicemail, which is a cool, interesting feature on Spotify. I didn't even really know existed until we got our first one recently the other day. I thought the contents within were pretty interesting, so I wanted to just share what was said out loud for you, Mr. Joseph.
This is a private message for me.
The message says, Joy, Return of the Living Dead, has nudity in it, and it's awesome.
Oh, shit. Somebody's giving me a fucking recommendation, huh?
There you go. Someone trying to sway you to the dark, hoodier side of things.
There's 40 of those movies. I don't even know which one that is. There's like 3 Return of the Living Deads.
See, I just told you the title of it, and you've already forgotten it.
There's now me and another fan telling you to watch this film, Joy. If anything else, for the Mr. Skin content.
Where's it fall in the pecking order though? Isn't that like the 4th sequel or something like that?
It's the first sequel from that side of the creation
of the branch. There's a multiverse. This is
so
a whole Marvel thing.
This is the direct sequel to the Romero.
Yes,
original.
There was 2 people, Romero and I've already forgot his name, but
Romero.
From not Romero.
We got to cover the original before we can do that one. So let's
baby steps.
Somebody needs to step up to the plate and start getting good at the guessing game. Hootie.
This is true. We have had a fan reach out, giving us a thumbs up, trying to encourage the love on that there film.
Thanks for the fan to host interaction, guys. It's very much appreciated. Very cool knowing that you guys appreciate what we're doing. So thanks.
Yeah, as much as we talk at each other, we're really just talking to you, person whose ears are wrapped around.
Well, I'm just most of the time I'm just talking to myself.
All right, boys, had a little icebreaker here before we hop into today's assignment. I want to throw a little trivia question out here just to see how into the spooky season you two gorehounds really are.
All right, Dad.
In what state does the Blair Witch Project take place?
New Jersey.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a swing and a miss there.
Fuck my ass. Massachusetts.
I think it's definitely the Northeast. I think it's a
3-strike rule.
It's the Northeast. Has to be.
It's definitely the Northeast. I want to say Rhode Island.
Both wrong.
All those fucking states up there look the same. They're all the size of a goddamn fly stick.
No.
Who
you
knows?
Get this southeastern U.S. bias out of your mind. It is the state of Maryland.
Oh, my neighboring state.
They got fucking trees in Maryland.
You can drive there today.
I could. I'm not going to, but
I didn't know they had vegetation up there.
Yeah, Maryland's an interesting state because you have the side towards the ocean, you have the side towards D.C., and then somewhere in the middle they filmed the Blair Witch Project.
It's like when somebody tells me the fucking New Jersey is called the Garden State when it's like literally a goddamn landfill.
Well, I mean, Bruce Springsteen would not.
I guess a landfill, like compost, is good for gardening, so it kind of checks out, right?
Boom.
So Maryland,
yeah, both two self-proclaimed horror film professors have failed this assignment here. So moving on the rails. Today's assignment is that time of the year again, third Halloween on the show. So we are at 1982's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Got to include the subtitle in this one. The lesson: witchcraft enters the computer age and a different terror begins.
You gotta count every stitch, must be the season of the witch.
Must be the season. Is that Lana Del Rey song? But yeah, Halloween 3, this is a fully loaded type of movie to talk about here. Definitely far cry from these first two that we've covered in this series.
Oh yeah, this is a departure. This is a this is a total left turn. This is what you call the Friday the 13th part 5 of the series.
This is a clear example of what corporations still do today when they slap a name that sells well onto a new project. And if this film would have just not had Halloween attached to it and just have been called Season of the Witch, I think it would have been successful. But
well, the movie wasn't.
We'll never know.
Wasn't like not successful. It made money.
People hated
but
it.
not.
Though. This definitely has like a glare of this movie is disgusting, and people were offended that they spent money on it. I believe at the time.
Now it did kill the whole wanting to turn this into an anthology because it was it was like a critical flop. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into the details of this movie and everything about it. So anyway, as we're kind of pointing out here, it's definitely a movie that had its detractors, and it's kind of since developed a bit of a cult following. So starting with some fan reviews here, we'll start with what's probably the more popular opinion, at least it was back in the day. Negative review here. This one is from January of 2021. The title of this here review is, "No, it is not the lack of Michael Myers. It is because this movie is boring. The protagonists are charisma-less at best and boorish at worst. The premise of a corporation committing mass sacrifice of children in order to bring Halloween back to its pagan roots is super interesting, but totally wasted amid dull exposition, a pointless sex scene, and some truly mind-boggling twists. Scene with the kids head turning into snakes and bugs deserved a better movie to belong to than this. 3 out of 10.
2 points to make. First of all, there's never been in the history of horror cinema what I would consider a pointless sex scene.
Never, not once.
Never
this
fucking
is
ever.
no, there's not.
But
Let's
if
go
there was
ahead.
one, is this one in the running?
Fuck no. We have to establish. Point 2, you can ask any woman in this fucking movie. Tom Atkins oozes charisma.
I agree with you, Joy, but it's to kind of counterbalance that, Tom Atkins is a dad with 2 kids who looks like he's probably 45. And he's attempting to bang and is successfully in banging a woman who I think is playing a college kid.
He smashes every woman in this movie. Every woman in this movie wants to sleep with him.
I mean, you know, he's an interesting guy.
How can he not be charismatic?
He's definitely charismatic. It's just I can 100% see where that reviewer came from. I may not agree with them, but can definitely they made some good points.
All right, flipping the script here, going to the positive. This is from November 2019, back when us wee babes didn't even know what COVID was. The review here is titled Underrated Horror Gem. I've always loved this movie. It feels like a good Stephen King short story. It's spooky and weird. The villain is great. The hero is such an ordinary person caught up in this strange, spooky situation. Good soundtrack with a super bizarre, classic, scary TV commercial. I disagree with people who say writing and acting is bad. The truth is, our society literally poisons kids on Halloween, and this film takes that to the next level. Unique, weird, scary film. 10 out of 10 stars. I feel like this person maybe overcorrected with their take here.
Lana Del Rey does sing Season of the Witch.
Hell yeah, I love Lana Del Rey.
Let me go ahead and throw that in there.
Is that reviewer speaking in regards to Halloween poisons children in regards to the candy or to the dark magic side of Halloween?
I'm thinking it's like the commercialism of get all the kids fat and addicted to obesity medications for the rest of their life angle of it. But what do I know? This is from 2019, man.
Get them fat. Get 'em juicy.
Juicy. Baby fat. You fat. It was hard to find a positive take that wasn't in this same vein where I felt like it was kind of overdoing it. It's hard pressed to believe someone thinks this is a perfect film. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, yeah, the movie, I mean, just like any other movie, has its flaws. Even like Schindler's List and
Even
Godfather,
The
have
Godfather
their flaws.
has one bad cut. Not really. I think Godfather's pretty close.
Toy Story is also perfect, fellas. Yeah.
Toy Story 4 with Forky.
Terrible.
Classic.
I did not like that one.
Can I admit something? I don't think I've ever seen a Toy Story movie all the way through. Ever.
What?
They're super short. They're like 80
A
minutes
single
long, man.
fucking one, man.
That's brutal.
I know collectively we weren't exposed to them as kids. We were watching Scream and stuff like that.
Oh, I got both barrels as a kid. I got Aladdin and then I got Gremlins. So
At 5 o'clock, we're watching Aladdin. At 9 o'clock, we're going to watch somebody cut a bitch up with a chainsaw. All right, moving on, back on track here. Let's talk a bit about the folks who made this movie. And as we've kind of alluded to, this was a bit of a quote-unquote corporate take. Director and writer of this here film is a guy by the name of Tommy Lee Wallace, who you may know as creator of Fright Night 2 and the classic 1990 miniseries It.
Yeah, he also was the editor and production designer of the original Halloween, as well as donning the cowl of the Shape during the closet scene with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Ooh,
That
that's
was
a good tidbit. I didn't know that.
That was
There was
Tommy
no
Lee
Nicky
Wallace.
Castle on set that day. I think Nick was kind of shorter. I bet it was like a height thing. I think Tom's a pretty big guy.
I guess he looked much more imposing if that was the case inside the closet.
Shooting up from the floor.
Shooting
of
from
the closet,
that that angle.
But yeah, Tommy Lee Wallace is a name I've known since childhood because, as I mentioned with the latter, It, big movie for me. Probably the first thing that ever terrorized me as a kid. I can still remember specifically where that VHS sat in our local VHS or rental store back when I was a kid.
Oh, Brewers. Yes.
Yeah, it was a
Shout out to the
double.
Relic.
It was the double clamshell case because the movie was so long.
Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Boy, that shit was so fucking creepy, bro.
A TV movie too, man. That's amazing what they pulled off.
That's fucking wild because it terrified everybody as a TV movie.
Timeless. Classic.
It was on ABC, like Monday Night Football. They were going to watch the first half of this It movie.
Coming up at 8 o'clock, It.
Tim
Free of
Curry,
charge.
man. Tim Curry was...
It's come back.
I guess still is. Was a force of nature.
Yeah, he's had some health issues lately, but I did watch a documentary I think that came out last year about the making of It. He's featured pretty prominently in it. It's a pretty good watch. It's cool to see him also walking around on set smoking cigarettes and shit with his clown makeup on.
That's the picture I have in my head of anything behind the scenes of It is just Tim Curry smoking cigs. Like, how many fucking cigarettes did he smoke? This was Tommy Lee's directorial debut, and not to put the cart before the horse, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, he's definitely, you could tell he kind of studied under Carpenter because, like Joey alluded to, he worked pretty extensively as a small independent crew for that first movie. So I think the idea kind of was that he would make more than one of these if they made anthologies out of it. Maybe not necessarily in the same line, but I think he had a lot of ideas, and he took this personally, the way that the movie was kind of shit on and everyone hated it and didn't want to see him do anything else for a bit. Also want to throw out here music, of course, by Mr. John Carpenter and Alan Howarth, who actually brought like a unique soundtrack to this. I was kind of shocked. I figured John would like half-ass rehash kind of what he'd done in the first two, but the soundtrack is honestly my favorite part of this movie.
That opening scene is great.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more. It's literally a synth, like a synth-wave version of the music from the first two movies.
Yeah, I think something like Stranger Things definitely owes a lot to the sounds that are being made around this time in horror, especially.
The shit's fucking Terminator, man. Like the opening, dude. The opening music, the opening sequence is great.
It's jarring, isn't it?
But holy fuck, the opening music, dude. It's got me looking around for Skynet. Like I'm looking up in the fucking sky. I'm ready to get taken over.
Doo doo.
Have you seen this child?
Where is Silicana?
Yeah, but this movie, especially because you went into this blind, right, Joey?
Oh yeah, for the most part, I knew that.
You just knew it'd be weird, right?
I knew the plot. I knew like what I was getting into in terms of it being totally different from any other Halloween, but like I didn't know how the story unfolded or anything. So
Yeah. Just thinking back, that first scene is just so weird. It's such a weird introduction to from where you've been, where we've been, for so long.
I mean, it's gonna be years before we cover it, but Halloween Ends. It literally begins in almost the same exact way, showing that hey, this is a departure from what you know.
Did any of you think that the opening scenes where the guy's running through like a abandoned car lot that Michael Myers was driving the car?
I was kind of looking for Michael actually during this first scene. It reminded me a lot of him. Like he would fit in almost. Last guy I've noted, I kind of wanted to mention here, Mustafa Akkad. It's a name you'll always hear attached to this franchise. He's essentially like the first big backer. His son now is kind of taking over the role. I think he may have passed away, but every one of these movies he produces, this is his baby. This is his bread and butter. So that's a name you'll always see. Flashed up in the old orange text. Mustafa Akkad.
You mean Mustafa?
I think it's Mustafa.
No, it's Mustafa like the fucking Lion King, bro.
I think that's a bit Americanized, brother, but you go right ahead. Yeah, a few little notes here about the movie itself, kind of generic stuff, but it's kind of important to get the framing of around what this movie is, why it was made. This is the only entry in the series that does not feature the series antagonist, Michael Myers. After the film's disappointing reception and box office performance, Mike was brought back 6 years later in Halloween 4. Subtitled, you guessed it, The Return of Michael Myers.
Well, it's cool. This movie introduced the whole subtitle.
Is that cool?
To the rest of the movies.
So I hate a long title.
It did contribute in some way.
It did that. It did that one thing. A little bit of note here before we talk. I guess expand on that same thing I just said. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, creators of the original, believed that the Halloween series could have been an anthology series of films that centered around Halloween night in particular. Each sequel containing its own character, setting, and storyline. So that was the pivot. I think John was kind of done with Halloween and Michael Myers, and he was like, well, we'll make one of these every year, and it'll be just a different, kind of like Trick or Treat is. We talked about that on the recommendation episode, where everything is its own entry. So people would just come every year, have a cool Halloween story, and then move on with their lives.
That's the only reason he and Deb came back, was the understanding that, hey, we're not going to have to tell this story again that's been told to like previous two movies. We're done with this character. We can move on to something, something else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, John had a lot of ideas and became a world-renowned filmmaker, probably one of the greatest horror directors of all time after this. So,
a couple of thoughts to that is one, I think if you place this idea from John Carpenter in today's world with all the streaming platforms, say every year Netflix pumps out a Halloween anthology, it would crush.
Yep.
But sadly, John, in recent years, dating back to Ghost of Mars, which I believe Joey likes, he hasn't been hitting home runs.
Like the Ice Cube joint?
Yeah, that's the Ice Cube joint. But if you go back to the 80s and John Carpenter, he was making films like They Live and Season of the Witch. He got into this little hole of calling out corporations and just Big Brother, and really leaned into that concept when making his films.
Yeah, kind of touching on what you were saying about if Netflix did this, like essentially this is what my guy Mike Flanagan, I know we're all kind of fans of his work, is doing every year. He's putting out a new horror series. He did Haunting of Hill House. He has a new one that just came out days ago, Fall of the House of Usher.
But I heard that is like the shit.
Yeah, it looks great. I got it queued up. I haven't watched it yet. But he's pretty much doing that. Like every year, here's a new ghost story or whatever. So, and he's a competent filmmaker who makes that interesting and something I look forward to every October.
Yeah, I would be right there with you. I am only going to watch The House of Usher because of Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, Midnight Mass, that one was excellent as well. I almost forgot about that one. I think that was 2 years ago, but anywho. Last note here again, staying generic. You guys might have more detail, but most critics gave the film negative reviews. Reevaluation in later years has given Halloween 3 legions of fans and established its own reputation as a standalone cult film.
The novelization of this film was published in 1982 by science fiction writer Dennis Atkinson. Could be saying that wrong. Joey can look it up. Despite the movie's critical failure, the book became a bestseller and was even reissued 2 years after the movie's release.
A best?
So that was,
You're saying a novelization of this exact same story?
that's exactly what it says.
It's a bestseller. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I actually looked up like prices of what it's going for on eBay. It's like $100.
Oh, you mean like an original printing or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's out of print
Like a
by now.
paperback. What am I gonna do? Get an ebook or some shit? I'm not fucking doing that.
Put on your Kindle Fire, man.
Fire that shit up. Get the, was it paperback?
What's
Paper
that?
white. That's what it was.
Paperbuck or whatever the fuck it's called. I ain't doing that shit.
I'm an iPad man.
I'm gonna sit on the
Okay.
toilet and read a book type. I ain't gonna sit on the toilet and finger a goddamn electronic device. Well, my phone. Never mind.
Think
Pause.
of something else. Season of the Witch was the last Halloween film distributed by Universal Pictures until the 2018 film, which was 36 years later.
Tonight he comes home. That's the tagline.
So that was the
for
good
this
one, though.
movie.
That was. I enjoyed
That was
2018.
pretty good. And like the last note that I have is the subtitle "Season of the Witch" comes from George A. Romero's second film titled "Season of the Witch," 1973, also known as "Hungry Wives," which is an interesting title. But the plot contains no similarity to Romero's story of a housewife who becomes involved in witchcraft.
Witchcraft. That's a very logical title for that movie.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. If you're a wife of Tom Atkins, you ain't going home hungry, baby. You getting fed, girl.
Oh, good lord.
Fed
What
some
did
of
she
that.
say?
Deep.
Where do you want to sleep, Doctor? He goes, don't you?
God, that was so good. No, that was smooth
That's
as
a
fuck.
stupid
Don't
question,
even.
Miss
Don't even.
Grimbridge.
That was smooth, man. That was butter smooth.
All right, Joseph, you got anything to note here?
Yeah, I got a few little titty bits over here. So Mr. Atkins apparently had pneumonia during filming. So he was a trooper. He went above and beyond to complete his role with a life-threatening illness. So there's that.
Add to the legend.
Also got the Silver Shamrock jingle is based off of London Bridge is falling down. Don't know if you guys realize that or not. Copyright free. So
This has got to be like a public domain thing.
yeah. They could have done Happy Birthday. Did you know Happy Birthday is copyrighted by like Disney or somebody?
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down.
Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy Halloween, my dear lady. See? It's like the same thing.
That's true. Okay.
Oh yeah, the original director, man, was Joe Dante. Did we talk about that already or not?
Joey, no, I did not. This
Joe
the
Dante,
Gremlins, man.
Gremlins, bro, The Howling. He was, I think he actually accepted the job, but bowed out a couple of weeks before filming started, so he could direct a segment in the Twilight Zone movie that Steven Spielberg was attached to. Never really been a huge fan of the Twilight Zone. I think that was a little bit before my time. Last note here is going to be about the co-writer, Nigel Neal, who was
Nigel.
quoted as being responsible for over 60% of the script by John Carpenter, had his name struck from both the script and credits due to creative differences involving the violent direction and gruesome tone of the film. This dude was apparently like a hotshot English writer who was trying to make more of like a psychological horror, and then the studio pushed in the whole, hey, we want some gruesome deaths. This isn't really fitting the bill as a Halloween movie because there's no like gore. So once that happened, he said, "Get me the fuck off this thing, bitch."
Take the money, my cash, and get me out of here.
So he bounced because there wasn't enough gruesome killing?
No. He was going for more of a like psychological terror, as in the Wicker Man, I guess.
I don't feel like there's a lot of gruesome killing in this.
Oh, what the fuck?
It felt more Wicker Man to me.
Dude, that motherfucker got his head tore off. That shit was
This is
crazy.
true.
You didn't fucking remember that? That was
There's like 4 or
gruesome
5
as hell.
that are kind of brutal.
It was gruesome, and then they had blood squirting out of his fucking neck cavity. That was like over the top. I sat there, I threw up in my mouth when that happened. Yeah, I don't know if later on in his life, well, I guess the movie never really gained the cult status until, within the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah, it's definitely a product of people streaming.
So I'm not even sure if the
shit
guy
from the
was like
80s.
alive long enough to even embrace it.
Last bit of note before we get into it, we kind of talked about the box office, quote unquote, a success. It did make its money plus some, but compared to all the Halloween movies up to this point, this is not necessarily considered successful. The bar was obviously super high coming off of those first two. We had a $4.6 million budget, and we had a box office $14.4 million.
Oh.
Did you look up the two previous movies, like budgets and
I did not. I just know.
I'm sure we
those
talked
random
about it in the other
trivial-
episodes.
Exactly.
But to put it in perspective, the original $325K brought in $70 million.
Yeah, it was the most successful movie of any kind for a long time until the Blair Witch Project.
And the sequel had the same budget as this movie, surprisingly, $25 million. So quite a big drop off.
All right, folks, without further ado, let's get our pumpkin, witch, or skeleton masks on and go trick-or-treating with our old friend Michael Myers? Question mark?
Myers?
Michael?
You don't really know much about Halloween. You thought no further than the strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy. It was the start of the year in our old Celtic lands, and we'd be waiting in our houses of wattles and clay. The barriers would be down, you see, between the real and the unreal.
It is October 23rd, 1982, somewhere in the mystical realm of Northern California. Harry Grimbridge, a shop owner with a penchant for Halloween spookiness, clutches a sinister jack-o'-lantern mask and finds himself pursued by a gang of mysterious, impeccably dressed men. And no, they're not just some run-of-the-mill trick-or-treaters. They mean business. Poor Harry's escape route leads him to a gas station where he frantically calls for help.
So the way these guys walk, did either one of you pick up on like the fact, or I guess it's a fact, they seem to walk very, very, very similarly to the Shape, aka Mikey Myers.
Yeah, I definitely saw them as a stand-in for him. So for a few scenes at least, we were in a bit of a comfort zone. Until that first death, which was one of the strangest fucking deaths I think I've seen to open up a horror movie.
Well, no, you didn't
The
talk
slow
about
car roll.
Oh, the slow car roll, yeah.
What the fuck was
Dude, that was fucking dope, man.
It looked weird, man.
It was oddly shot.
It was slow.
Man, I wish somebody would slow roll a car into me. I'd flex and straight up knock that shit off of me, bro.
It's like an Austin Powers like parody of a death, you know?
It was like Michael McDonald fucking screaming at the steamroller.
That's a good point. It's about what it felt like.
He's like, move.
Like the guy that's harassing the shop owner, he's literally holding him down and he's staring at this car that's slow rolling. Coming on back, back it on up.
He's like, what is he gonna do? Is it gonna stop? What is he gonna do? Just keep sitting here.
Oh, it stops after
Fall
it fucking
forward.
turns him into a pancake.
And the car is a Lincoln Continental black. Have you two
Nice.
ever seen a Lincoln Continental that's not black?
Is that the car from Men in Black?
I think so. Yes.
Poor Will Smith, man. You guys seen what's going on with him recently?
No, why the hell would I be seeing what's going on with Will Smith
Jada
recently?
Pinkett is dragging this motherfucker through the mud, bro.
Yeah, I thought for a horror movie, this is the strangest opening death I think I've ever seen.
I would have to agree with that. I have a note on it. It was just very bizarre. Did you fellas also like the digitized jack-o'-lantern in the beginning opening credits?
Oh, where it slowly draws it out on your screen.
Yeah, it's
I thought
fucking
that was pretty cool.
fucking dope. We already talked about the music. Like, yeah, the music was dope, and I thought the whole I mean, it's still because the first two movies they opened with jack-o'-lanterns as well, right?
Yeah, we had
So it's still sticking to
the
the
OG with the
tradition,
carving.
but it's doing its own thing.
As the tagline referred to, witchcraft has come to the computer age.
Oh, did you see the other tagline for this movie?
The rest of them were complete dog shit.
No. The other one's way better.
You go right ahead.
The night no one comes home.
Hell yeah, we all die.
Dude, that was fucking... That right there, you don't like that?
That's a spoiler alert, man.
That's not a spoiler. It's just a tagline.
It's the end of the movie.
That could also be the tagline for Cabin in the Woods.
Holy shit. Here we go with these death count arguments again.
Here we go.
You simpleton fuckers. All right, so where were we? We had
We're
old
talking
Harry
about
on
the
run.
death of the slow roller.
All right, Harry on the run. Let's go. Now, meet Dr. Daniel Chalice, played by Mr. Tom Atkins, who some folks may know from The Fog and My Bloody Valentine. This guy's got some horror chops.
Yeah, he's been a bunch of shit, man. Night of the Creeps, Creep Show, Escape from New York. John Carpenter likes the guy. So
Carpenter likes him. He's a character actor, right? He's doesn't lead anything but this. We meet Dr. Daniel Chalice, our resident alcoholic physician with a turbulent personal life. He's been handed the unenviable task of caring for Harry, but this isn't your typical hospital drama. Oh no, it's far stranger. The night takes a darker turn when another one of those eerily suited men makes an appearance. And let's just say, things get pretty explosive. Harry meets a grisly end and his daughter, Ellie Grimbridge, played by Stacey Nelkin, who you may know from something. I have nothing for that.
Jack shit.
Steps into the picture to chat with our good doctor about her dad's suspicious demise.
Two things here. Stacy Nilkin was in The Waltons, fellas. Okay?
Oh, shit. We're connecting back to Stephen King's It, the miniseries.
Got it, John Boy. And she's also in a 2023 film titled The Forest Hills. So, there you go.
Is that already out, or we going to pre-order that on Blu-ray?
Probably on Amazon Prime, $20. Go ahead and pick it up. And Tom Atkins is a frequent player in shows at the Pittsburgh Public Theater, most famously in the one-man show, The Chief, in which he depicts the late founder of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney.
So he's still at it, huh? I appreciate him.
Still out. One-man show. Shit.
Spreading that campaign, spreading that love. So what do you think about Tom, Joy? You're a fan of this guy?
Man, you can already tell with his mustache in this movie and the way he grabs that nurse's ass, he's going to be a horn dog, brother. Should have been cast in Grey's Anatomy.
It's a weird character, man. It's a weird introduction.
No, man. I love that he's like the exact opposite of what you expect from a lead in like a slasher horror movie. He's a everyman. He's a everyman.
He's a shitty doctor. He's an alcoholic doctor.
To both the points you two are making in the making of this movie that's on YouTube, Tom Atkins himself says he has no idea how that character was a doctor.
It goes back to the whole how the man in black or the man in gray, whatever the fuck you call him, the guy who walks all Michael Myersy, he just walks up to the guy, grabs him by the nose, and turns him into Owen Wilson. He literally just pulls his fucking like nose bone not through his skin or anything, but he literally like destroys his skull within his body.
Cracks that melon,
I thought that was
baby.
just savage. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I did like the melon cracking. That's some pretty good effects work going on there. Also wanted to highlight a little lady that we kind of mentioned. I didn't really mention her, but back in Daniel's personal life, we get to meet his kids. His smoke show of an ex, Linda Chalice, a.k.a. Annie from the original Halloween, played by Nancy, is it
Keys?
I know she used to go by Nancy Loomis, but I think here she's back to her actual
What
name as opposed to her stage name.
Bitch?
Smoke show, dog.
She does not understand that he's a doctor. This motherfucker ain't got time for these kids, bro.
He has to spend time in all these women's guts around
He
the
pays
clock.
you all this child support, and you keep fucking bugging his ass to come over and spend time with these little hellions. That's your job.
Take care of your kids. Pretend like they matter.
He's a cop. He's a fuck cop. He's a
cop.
doctor. He's on call all the time. He's the only surgeon in town.
I agree.
He's a doctor, not a pool man.
He's seen so much death and disease. He's just got to drink away that's the only way he can do his job.
And then his ex-wife has the audacity to buy his kids, this sex machine's kids, silver shamrock masks.
It was his money she was using.
Damn.
Essentially, he
the
bought
masks
it.
of the season, man. Every kid wants those. What do you guys think of the masks? I think they look pretty fucking
Yeah,
cool.
they're fucking dope.
I want one.
All right, you got the witch mask, you got the jack-o'-lantern, you got the skull. Which one are you choosing?
Oh, there's only one answer here. Come on now. It's the jack-o'-lantern.
No, it's the skull,
jack-o'-lantern.
man. What the fuck?
I thought Joey
You're crazy.
Give me
The
the
glow-in-the-dark
jack-o'-lantern.
skull, man. You look like Daniel Craig in Spectre.
And the one scene in Spectre that was worth watching, I agree.
I thought Joey would pick the witch mask myself.
So he could sing the Lana Del Rey. He pretend like he doesn't know.
And it's
That would be so fucking creepy.
That'd be something to walk in on. Joey's got it like Silence of the Lamb style. He's got his wiener tucked in with the witch's mask on.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
I'd fuck me hard.
I'd fuck me hard. Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
Did you two not laugh when the dude goes, sits back in his Lincoln Continental, lights a match, and the whole fucking car explodes?
Oh man, this dude starts guzzling gasoline like it's goddamn Code Red Mountain Dew. You see that?
With no emotion on his face, just dumping this shit on him. It just felt weird. Like, I guess to this point, I guess I probably said it 8 times, but it just felt weird. Another weird ass death. Like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
The movie just piques your interest left and right. Like all the strange happenings and just throwing you in the middle of this of this drunken doctor's life and what he witnesses. It's an interesting setup.
And as a drunk doctor, I'm assuming that's why he didn't notice the man on the gurney was clutching a mask throughout the entirety of this process. Why did anybody not take it out of his fucking hands or anything?
Well, it's a season, man. It's Halloween.
Naturally, the dynamic duo decide to do what any sane person would in their shoes: investigate. They pack their bags and set off to the intriguingly named Santa Mira, California, home to the Silver Shamrock Novelties Factory. Why, you ask? Because that's where the Halloween mask Harry was clinging to was born. As they check into the quaint motel, Daniel discovers that Harry had a history with the place. Coincidence? Probably not. He decides to make love while he thinks about it.
First of all, he doesn't decide to make love. This motherfucker.
Love decides to make him.
First of all, the only reason he is on this little excursion, this little trip, is for the potential of getting a piece of ass. She's out here to investigate. He's out here to bust.
Nah, he's trying to save her dad, man. He really cares about his patients. He's going the extra mile for a dead guy.
He really cares about adding to the body count.
Let the bodies hit the floor. That's his damn theme song when he's slaying.
This Santa Maria town in California is apparently an all-Irish community in the film. But in the making of, this is an actual real town. And all the actors and behind-the-scenes crew said that the town is just as creepy as it appears in the film. Which I'm not sure what that means for that town, if it still exists.
It's just as creepy. Come here and you'll feel as creeped out.
I think the fictional name of this town is the same town that was fictionalized in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I think I may have crossed that note at some point too. This is an homage to something for sure.
It's also the Luna,
right.
the Pinta, the Santa Maria.
Do you mean the bottom while you drinking sangria? Nachos, lemon heads, my dad's boat. You won't go down cause my dick can't float. God, when's the sequel of that coming out?
It'll be 10 years too late. It's always 10 years too late.
We saw what they did with Anchorman 2, so yeah. I guess Anchorman 2, Zoolander 2, just fucking don't do it at this point.
That paragraph there, kind of how it's set up, he kind of just decides to make love. It's Definitely one of the weirdest exchanges I've ever
Stop
encountered.
saying decides to make love. First of all, he rails this fucking girl into the goddamn bed. He don't decide to do nothing. He's a man. He takes what he wants and she gives it up.
I love that they're making love with the radio on. I thought that was a nice
Hootie,
touch.
have you ever in your entire life decided to make love?
Like I was just on the couch, bored, eating Cheetos.
Yeah,
and was
you
like,
just decided to make love.
damn. Well, I guess we can do it. I guess. This sex scene that Joey is enamored with, and the fact that it was not something he just wanted, casually did.
I think he really
Apparently
sucked
that-
on her titty in this scene.
Well,
It
to
looked
that
like he was
point,
sucking on that titty.
to that exact suckage. In the contract from Universal, they were not allowed to show nipple in this film. And apparently the director had a hell of a time with the actors trying to shoot around her breasts to not show nipple.
I'm going to tell you what. I'm fucking Tom. What's his name? Tom Hollis?
I'll cover that for you.
Tom Atkins. I'm Tom Atkins. I'm fucking this scene up constantly. I'm like, you know what, Mr. Director Man? We'll go ahead and we'll hide this nipple in my mouth.
I think
Ain't
that's what he
nobody.
said.
Ain't nobody going to see this fucking nipple.
This is just like Whitehurst laying on the grenade. I'll lay on that titty. I'll lay on it again and again. Whenever
They
you need,
won't.
Tommy.
Look, if you want me to, they won't see this titty for the rest of this goddamn movie.
She'll never see her titties again if you tell me to, sir. I'll take care of it.
You know that mustache is tickling on it too. She's probably giggling and shit.
I bet it does feel a little bit good.
It's just random parts of the movie. He's sucking on her titties. I thought we had to cover it up.
Damn, her nipple. It's hot. It's cold out here. It's cold out here. It's kind of hard. I gotta go get on this motherfucker.
But yeah, I think we kind of referenced the line, but it goes something along the lines of, "Yeah, I guess I'll sleep out in the car." Where do you want to sleep, Doctor? He looks back over the shoulder very slowly.
On top of you.
It's a very dumb question, Mrs. Grimbridge. And then it
The way
cuts
he
to
answers.
him having already smashed after that.
Oh, he does that slow walk up to her, and you can tell her arms, they're flared.
She's
and certain-
afraid, is what I got
Here's the
out of
thing:
it.
her cheeks are flushed. You can tell the blood flow. You can tell her pelvic is ready to accept him. The way her legs
Jesus.
just. I've been reading a lot of books.
You're making me
Clearly.
uncomfortable.
Her body language says, "Hey, come on." And he knows what he's
Flower
doing.
opening to
he's
the
done
sun,
fuck. He's
you're
done fucked
saying.
everybody else in the entire movie.
This is some classic soft-core porn dialogue here, though, fellas. You got to be honest.
And here's where things take a turn for the downright bizarre. Marge Gutman,
What a
Another-
fucking name,
a hell of a name.
dude! You know she could throat one with a name like that.
Gutman, another guest at the motel, stumbles upon a secret hidden on the back of a masked medallion, a microchip. Curiosity gets the better of her, and let's just say that poking it with a hairpin turns out to be a grave mistake. There's a deadly energy beam, a disfigured face, and yes, an insect making a surprise appearance. Talk about a motel stay gone horribly wrong. Men in lab coats sweep in, snatch Marge's unfortunate remains, and speed away in a silver Shamrock van. Creepy, you bet.
I got a note here about Miss Gutman and what just happened. It says, "Bed bugs." Am I right?
I can get you every time. This was the scene I remember from,
Dude,
from
no,
watching
dude,
it the first
this
time.
movie, there's
where
a
I was
series,
like, what am I fucking watching?
There's a series of scenes here. That scene was cool, like how it played out and her fucking face is all splayed open and shit. She
It was
kind of looks like
better
a
on a
jack-o'-lantern.
rewatch.
Yeah,
Yeah, she does.
but yeah, all right. So my man Dr. Chalice has already smashed. Boom, boom, boom. He smashed 3-4 times, and she's wanting to go again, right? He gets to the point where he asks how old she is.
Well, I mean,
After the fact.
After he's done smashed 4 times, after he's done busted inside
After
her 4
having committed the
times.
crime.
Well, now he's in his refractory period. He's thinking clearly. He's like, wait a minute. I might
Oh,
have fucked
that post nut.
I'm old enough.
Also, probably not the most creative death scene, but in my opinion, the most gruesome. The homeless guy who runs into a couple of our shape walking type buddies
buddies.
after bad mouthing their boss.
Talking shit about
Dude,
blowing up. He's throwing
down-
mollies in there.
Down on his knees, man, thinking he's about to have to give the suck. They fucking grab him by the side of his head and pull his head right off.
The way they made him
That's
sit on his
head
knees.
grabs.
I'm telling you, he's
Was
about to give
weird.
the suck.
Yeah, I kind of can't disagree.
One
with
of
you there.
them is literally like rubbing his shoulders and shit, trying to like relax him, like trying to relax his throat and shit. And the other one just grabs him by the side of the head, and instead of doing what you think's about to happen, pulls it off.
Pop. Now that we're dusting the cobwebs off here, I can now see why the one man pulled out, because these, specifically the woman's face being blown off, is rather gruesome. So,
Also, I need to shout out the man who runs the factory. We kind of meet him when the van pulls up here. A character named Connell Cochran, played by Mr. Dan O'Herlihy, who was in RoboCop 1 and 2.
How do we have another person so soon named Colonel Cochran?
Colonel Cochran. It's Connell.
Bull fucking shit.
At least this
Child's
guy's
Play
Irish, he has an
3
excuse.
wasn't he Colonel Cochran in that too?
Is this the second Child's Play 3 reference we've already made?
How crazy
Like
is
that
that? How
TV's
crazy
connected.
is that though? Right?
Colonel Cochran. Maybe this guy's he was an ode to this Connell Cochran.
He could be.
Connell Cochran
but-
is a mouthful.
Yeah, that's why you gotta say Cochran.
Well,
That's a damn mouthful.
You have
That's
to
this
say
homeless
it.
guy.
you have to say that.
But yeah, I'm not a RoboCop guy, but I thought if there were fans out there, they might recognize him.
Who do you seems like he'd be a RoboCop guy?
Love
like a
RoboCop.
diehard RoboCop fan.
It's such a fascinating story.
I can see him having a RoboCop action figure.
I used to have several. I don't know where they are now. They're probably somewhere in the house.
So yeah, we also see Dr. Chalice's taint in this scene, right here.
Oh, he did get dressed pretty quickly.
So
Damn it.
thank you, Tommy Lee Wallace. I could have went my whole life without seeing that man's taint, but hey, here we are.
Now, while all the madness is unfolding, Daniel and Ellie are busy touring the Silver Shamrock factory. And what do they stumble upon? Harry's car, guarded by even more of those pesky men in suits. Naturally, they try to call for backup, but there's a little problem. Phones just don't cooperate. Ellie gets abducted, and Daniel isn't far behind as he's ensnared by the suited men. Surprise, surprise, they're not just men. They're androids, courtesy of one Mr. Connell Cochran, the factory owner.
Man, all right. There's when Tom Atkins is trying to dodge these guys, the way he dives behind this goddamn fence is some of the funniest shit I've seen in a movie. He fucking dives behind a fence like he's playing goddamn Call of Duty. Boy, that shit was funny.
So this tour is with the top selling salesman and his family in the country. And then obviously Tom and Ellie are able to come along. What major city do you think that this guy comes from to sell that many fucking masks?
Probably like somewhere in Texas.
God damn, he didn't go that fucking far, did he? From Texas to California, Northern California?
That's
I
a
think
long
so.
way. He has the voice of a Texan, though, so it's probably a great point.
Well, no, you know what? You might be right because they're in an RV.
Yeah, I don't think it can go any further east, really.
Yeah, they pull up in an RV.
You think it's like L.A. or something?
I was thinking Phoenix myself, so it's like the Southwest.
It could have been a transplant from Texas or something. But it definitely gave me like a Texas big dick, big cow energy, you know.
That's some bitch can sling some masks.
We keep selling these goddamn masks. We can't even keep them in stock.
Well, hot damn, where's that Gutman?
Or
bitch
the
at?
hottest seller for me is the jack-o'-lantern. Have we discussed where Dr. Chalice fights the android and actually defeats one of the androids, or we already passed that point? It's right before he gets captured.
Yeah, it's during his struggle to get caught, right?
All right,
Is it right after he breaks the German android lady?
Yeah, it's right after that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's actually the guy he defeats in hand-to-hand combat. That's actually Dick Warlock, the guy who played Michael in Halloween 2.
Dick.
Oh shit.
We
This
also
is the gooey stomach scene.
Yeah, we find out they're made out of fucking Nickelodeon gack.
Good man.
Like their entire innards is like lubricated with gack.
He's so defeated too. Once he realizes what the fuck is going on, he's like a child who's just been put in timeout. Like they're holding him up, and he's just
Well, he's sitting there. He's
His arm
ready.
is covered in shit, and he's just laying there.
He's on his knees. He knows he's about to get the suck. He
just gives
fucking
up.
knows it. He knows what happened to the damn guy in the junkyard. He's ready for it.
Cochran takes Daniel on a tour of his twisted world and reveals his master plan. Brace yourselves, because it involves Stonehenge fragments, microchips,
Brace yourselves,
and
because it ain't gonna make no fucking sense.
and a diabolical commercial called The Big Giveaway. Worst commercial fucking title I've ever heard. When that commercial airs, it's game over for anyone wearing a silver shamrock mask. They meet a brain-damaging, insect and snake-infested doom. Oh, and Cochran has a penchant for resurrecting ancient Celtic rituals complete with child sacrifices during Samhain.
Dude, have you talked
What
about how
the
there's...
fuck was
there's
this
no,
exposition, dog?
Did you say how he kidnapped one of the Stonehenge fucking stones?
Yeah, one of the pieces. He had the whole damn thing almost.
No, he had one of the fucking rocks. He
The
also
whole
says,
thing.
you'll never believe how I got it down here." Doesn't even talk about it again after that.
Do you fly it across? I don't know.
I
I want to fucking hear it.
I'd love to know.
Hewn into the living rock of Stonehenge. Remember,
You
like
think this was the
Spinal Tap?
English guy's contribution to the script?
Well, no, it's like
Stonehenge is the fucking source of all the trouble.
isn't like how God, I'm gonna go down some history rabbit hole. Isn't the whole idea of Halloween, isn't it like from like the Druids and shit, and
Yeah, the Celtic area.
and wasn't Stonehenge like a big important monument to these guys? They're like the ones that put it together, right?
I might be full of shit, but I think it's undetermined what it was actually used for. Some people think it might have been like a calendar or clock.
Some folks think it's aliens.
Man, I've been watching. I need to stop watching it. A lot of alien shit here recently about the ones in Mexico.
Oh yeah,
Holy
those
shit!
shit, they're
I think
coming up.
I think those are legit real.
Well,
But yeah, back to this exposition dump here. I guess this is the screenwriter trying to make this Halloween, child sacrifice, Samhain, all this good shit here.
Here's the thing. To me, it doesn't even have to make sense because it's fucking interesting and it's fun.
it is that. To me, this is where the dial turned to, okay, now we're in that Wicker Man world of bizarre sacrificial stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about these kinds of movies because we were kind of talking about franchise fodder. Like the rules are established in, say, like a Friday the 13th. You watch 2 or 3, and you kind of know how they all are supposed to play out. And in this for Halloween 3, you've seen the first 2, and now you get to the third one, and it's like gravity. It doesn't even come into effect anymore. You know, it's just so fucking crazy. It's a different. You're taking that same audience and you're presenting them with a completely different story or different sandbox to play in.
Put yourself
That's
in,
why it
in an
doesn't work,
audience.
man.
Yeah, put yourself in an audience goer's shoes from 1982. You've seen Michael Myers doing what he does best across 2 movies, and you go into this shit, you don't have a clue.
How about them even showing the stone from Stonehenge that they somehow got to California had little chunks missing where you could see they've been mining it to put in these masks.
It even came, so the fact that you just reminded me it was in California, they brought it across the continental United States as well without anybody noticing.
Nobody saw
We
it.
haven't even really discussed how there's a fucking mostly Irish settlement on the west coast of the United States. Literally the furthest it can be. I think it's on the other side of the goddamn world from Ireland.
Maybe there's a wormhole like in the Sea of Ireland we're not aware
I think
of
the
or some
middle
shit.
of the Pacific, or like right next to it in the Pacific Ocean would be like literally like the exact opposite part of the world.
But fear not, Daniel manages to break free, save Ellie, and takes the fight straight to Cochran's control room. He unleashes the commercial, pours out a box of medallions, and let's just say things get messy for the androids. Stonehenge proves its mettle as Cochran meets a fitting end, and a fiery spectacle engulfs the factory. This final showdown scene is slow as fuck.
Man, dude, these guys are straight Scooby doing this shit. When Ellie and Doc are like evading the androids, they're literally behind a cart. And they're fucking tiptoeing, just like in Scooby-Doo, hiding behind the cart as they move forward. I'm really enjoying the movie up until this point.
How
Honestly.
fragile was that damn TV that he kicked out when he was when he was like restrained. I was like, what were TVs? I thought TVs used to be like tough to
Hey,
break.
first of all, you seen him punch a hole in a goddamn android's stomach.
seen
So
Oh, yeah.
let's go ahead and back it up.
Seen him punch a few holes in Ellie too.
This man got the strength. Boy, he's been sticking everybody with that syringe of his.
As Chris likes to call out, Dr. Chalice may be overpowered in this film.
Just kicks that TV out like he's fucking Pele or some shit while he's tied up.
Did y'all like the fact that he was able to throw that mask directly over to the camera perfectly? Just nailed it the first time, like throwing horseshoes.
You guys ever like took a piss in the dark?
You mean into a toilet or like into the woods?
Well, I feel like I have muscle memory of where the toilet is.
Where it probably
So,
is.
Most of the, like I would take a piss in the dark, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 it goes right into the toilet. I feel like that was the situation with Doc. He's so used to throwing rubbers into like a trash can, so he tosses this
Kobe.
rubber mask onto the camera, and there you go.
Yeah, what'd you think about Cochrane's blast with the laser accepting his death?
If you go back and pause it right there and look, he looks just like fucking Donald Trump.
He just like paused and started clapping. Is like good job.
I think he liked the dude's moxie.
Ooh, a lot like cut up his jib.
Well, you can tell they had a certain bit of chemistry built up at this point. Like, you know, he respects the guy for trying to take him down, even though he doesn't believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think he feels like he's won at this point too. I think.
Are you telling me that Cochrane can see a fellow coxman?
Before we get too far from it, I may have skimmed over this here. What did you guys think about the demonstration we got with the mask in the actual commercial? How it's all going to play out?
Fucking dope. It's probably one of the best scenes in the movie. You're talking about where the family's down in the bomb shelter?
Yeah, where they get like put in their little simulated sitcom room for 5 minutes and let it all play out.
Yeah, I think
It's
was
definitely
great.
I think within a box as like a little short film. It's the most interesting part. of the
Dude,
movie.
they turn that little motherfucker into like a bug and snake pinata.
It's
so
hard to
fucking
watch,
cool,
man.
man.
The kids.
Oh my God, here we go with this bullshit.
He's
Hard
a
to
child,
watch.
man.
Here we
Watch
go.
a child's
We're back
brain
to the
rot.
mist once again.
I didn't have an issue with it.
Didn't have an issue at all.
Kick the little motherfucker while he's dead.
The movie went there. I applaud them for being
It
able to go
went
there.
there, man.
That kid now does horror conventions. Well, he's now a grown-ass man, obviously. He does horror conventions, and he signs autographs. And apparently you can find an autographed picture of that scene on eBay for about $5.
So what do you think? What was the message of? Is it that TV will write out your brain? That's got to be what they were leaning towards here, right?
Yeah, along with
Because why use a commercial to trigger it?
that era of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like selling toys and everything being connected to television.
So this is like another kind of what we were talking about. They Live and some of what Carpenter would do after this. Kind of a lot of anti-commercialization, anti-capitalist stuff.
It's interesting when these guys go this route of anti-capitalism and commercialism because they are producing films that they hope that you come pay for.
Just when you thought it was safe to breathe a sigh of relief, here comes the final twist. Ellie is not quite what she seems. Turns out she's an android replacement.
That bitch is a goddamn cyborg.
And Daniel has to deal with that plus a car crash. Exhausted but undeterred, he hightails it to the shop from the movie's intro and desperately tries to stop the commercial broadcast. With sweat on his brow and terror in his heart, he succeeds with 2 networks. But that pesky third one, well, it doesn't go quite according to plan, despite Daniel's impassioned pleas. What'd you guys think about her trying to choke his ass with the hand?
Dude, she hit that dude with the Tongan death grip, man. Y'all remember Ming's finishing move from WCW?
Oh, shit. Tom sold the fuck out of that one.
Dude, I remember that one time he put it on Lord Steven Regal. He refused to release it. That's what she was doing.
Put it on him.
And Jimmy Hart's the ringside. Let him go, Ming. Let him go.
Don't do it, man.
Ming is over there. Ah, ah.
Little did we know Tom Atkins was in contention for the Cruiserweight title.
Dude, this bitch wouldn't die, right? She was the toughest of the androids.
This scene went on way too long, in my opinion.
Oh, the ending is all really slow for me, man. It's a lot of talking, and then it's a lot of slowly creeping through scenes.
Dr. Chalice or Tom Atkins is also trying to play this. He's sorry to kill her. Like the love plot isn't that well developed for us to care. Tom, just kill her. Like, let's move on with it.
You know, Daniel might be sorry to kill her, but he's relieved that she ain't pregnant.
Maybe the whole thing was just him like correcting his wrong there. Like, no body, no crime. Let's get this shit out of here.
Now, you probably want to take a hand home with him.
How do you control TV? I was like, it's curious who do you call?
Oh, I don't know who the fuck you call that has the power to take off a multi-million-dollar
Exactly.
Advertisement contract off the fucking channels. Like,
Call John Madden. Like, John, can you get ABC to quit broadcasting this shit?
how has he convinced him to take it off 2 of the channels? I don't get that either.
Again, I don't know the rules of this movie, man. I can't.
Dude,
I can't place.
All right,
the rules
the
of this
story.
movie together.
A lot of the story is nonsensical, but it's so fucking fun. It's so entertaining to watch, in my opinion, that it's I can overlook it.
So the 3 channels have to be ABC, NBC, and CBS, right? Because Fox didn't come out until the 90s.
What kind of a drunk ass doctor at a gas station telephone knows the people running all those networks? It's crazy, man.
Look, I got a couple questions before we wrap it up. First of all, do we think Michael Myers is an android?
I think he definitely shares some characteristics with these guys, but I'm gonna say no, because that makes those movies really fucking boring.
And can we assume that every kid on the East Coast is
Oh,
actually
shit.
saved and not going to be affected by this, because the fucking clock hits 9 o'clock and that's when this commercial comes on. On the East Coast, it's midnight on a Sunday night.
Well, my fat ass was dead because I was up eating.
I got school in the morning. Guess what? Joy your ass up past 10. You ain't getting no cake tomorrow.
Hoodie was covered in those bit of honey wrappers. Just
fucking
fucking
milk
knocked
duds all over me. Well, in that
Fucking-
case,
The candies
fucking
nobody wants.
Sugar coma.
I mean, even if you were up on the East Coast eating milk duds and Milky Ways and shit, you're not putting your mask back on and watching a fucking TV commercial.
Well, no, the giveaway, man. The giveaway is very important.
Very
You
important.
know, the whole premise is you're gonna win. Like, you're gonna win something. They don't tell you what the fuck. I guess you're gonna win a piece of Stonehenge or some shit. They don't fucking tell you what you're gonna win, but you have potential to win as long as you're wearing your mask.
He went a helicopter ride back to fucking wherever we got Stonehenge from.
Can we also talk about the fact that he runs to this gas station and there's a child inside of the gas station wearing a mask watching the commercial? Why is a child there?
I think somebody was gassing up outside. It might have been their kid. If I'm stopping for gas on Halloween night, the kid's not getting out and running into the gas station to watch TV with the gas station attendant.
I do like how the movie ends where it began, though, with it coming back to the same gas station that the store owner came from. Oh, that's pretty cool.
So there you have it, folks. A tale of a Halloween gone horribly wrong, where masks, microchips, and Stonehenge collide in a chilling crescendo of chaos.
Stop it.
Which piece of memorabilia are you boys taking home from this? This is probably the easiest time we've ever had to ask this question.
Well, let me go ahead and mix it up because you guys are going to be boring as hell. Is it gross if I say I just want to have the Ellie Grimbridge nympho fuckbot?
Yeah, it's a little fucking.
Because at this
very
point,
Austin
she's
Powers
just,
of you.
we find out that she's a sex bot, right? So,
Well, I was just saying.
I mean, I think that's a legitimate choice, right?
Wait a minute. Are we saying that she was a robot the whole time?
Oh, she's a robot the whole time.
Yeah, there's a debate
Whoa.
here. She did say, "I'm not as young as I look."
I'm old enough to fuck. That's what she said.
She might have been around for like 100 years.
I didn't
who
even
knows?
think about that.
She might have been like that German, the sewing German automaton.
That granny's head fell off so fast.
I think the implication is when she gets kidnapped is when they replicate her body or whatever
what I
and turn
thought.
her into a robot. I'm gonna say she's a robot the whole fucking time.
Interesting.
'Cause I'm trying to get that nut. If I got to make an actual choice, I'm gonna say Marge Gutman's Silver Shamrock Token. Man, I want to be zapping motherfuckers all the time, dude.
Oh, you just want the power to.
I want to be the bug man. I want to be able to decide people's fate.
Bugman.
Sure, you'd be like, you keep fucking around, I'm going to turn your ass over to a damn jack-o'-lantern.
Excuse me, waiter. This steak isn't cooked to how I would like it. Get bugged, and I'm gonna fucking bug zap him.
For me, hate to say it, we might have the same pick here, but with this movie, you have to pick a mask, and from the three masks, the jack-o'-lantern, in my opinion, is the best. So, give me the jack-o'-lantern silver shamrock mask, which I would gladly wear this Halloween season.
Exactly. I said the same thing. Give me that pumpkin mask. The pumpkin head is really fucking cool, man. It looks great. Looks like it's something that, I don't know, you could wear for every Halloween for the rest of your life and still be fucking cool.
That's the only mask that was exclusively made for the movie.
Oh.
The other was rehashes
Yeah, the
or
other
something?
two was just like repurposed masks that were already made.
Who do you know? I just have naturally good taste, man.
Well, nobody wanted the witch. I mean, it just looked too gimmicky.
I just can't unsee Joey wearing it butt naked anymore.
Yeah, see me butt naked with Ellie Greenbridge wearing it.
All right, Hoodie, step up to the plate. Let you go first, yeah. Get out the books. Hand down letter grades to Mr. Tommy Wallace for his film, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
All right. Season of the Witch was a film I actually have watched several times over the others Halloween installments. I'm not sure if this was due to the film being on cable every spooky season when I was a child or not. More than likely, that is why. With all that being said, once you get over the fact that there is no Myers, who I'm not the biggest fan of to begin with, this is a decent film. Tom Atkins is fantastic, of course, and the plot about an Irish psychopath attempting to kill kids with masks from Stonehenge makes for a great Tales from the Crypt style story, albeit the ending does kind of fall apart in several spots. I would still highly recommend everyone listening to watch this film during your Halloween film marathons. Happy Halloween. And with that, I give this film a C+.
This was my first time watching Season of the Witch in its entirety, and I enjoyed what I saw a great deal more than I thought I would. With that said, I can 100% understand how Halloween 3 disappointed audiences who were expecting to see Michael Myers hacking up teens, and instead were treated as something totally different. If they had just stripped Halloween from the marquee, I'm sure it would have been considered a good movie, but that's the catch-22. Not as many people would have been enthusiastic to see the film in the first place, sans the established franchise title, and it would have been more of a financial flop as well. The story is unique, albeit wild as fuck, a mixture of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and conspiratorial themes that are clearly inspired by Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's interesting watching the story unfold in its strange, unpredictable, although at times nonsensical way. The score by Carpenter and Alan Horwath, a sci-fi synthwave take on the classic Halloween soundscape, is a treat. It's badass and continues the tradition of Halloween films having an awesome audio atmosphere. Speaking of classic, the cinematography, it's actually gorgeous, and an appreciated continuation of the impressive work that Dean Cundey began back with the original in 1978. The lead actor, Tom Atkins, is good as a devil-may-care everyman protagonist, but is actually outshined by Dan O'Hirley's Colonel Cockring, who is great as the protagonist, or as the antagonist with inordinate evil motivations. He plays both sides of his character so well. Also, the ending is an homage to Invasion, and I love it. It's refreshing to see something different, something that not all directors have the balls to go for, and stays true to the identity of Season of the Witch. Safe to say, Halloween 3 left an impression on me, and has made its way into the top 5 of my Halloween rankings. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, grades out with a B.
All right, this is actually a second watch for me. The definitely the last Halloween movie I'd ever seen. Grew up with the franchise. Pretty much every adult I ever encountered as a kid told me not to watch this one. There's no Mike in it. It's not worth your time. They would say, I believe, it's the one with the mask that eats the kids' brains. And that's kind of all I know about it. So the first half of the movie is pretty solid. There's some real dread, claustrophobia built around that never-ending hypnotic commercial with its earworm of a theme song. But once we really get into the meat of it, it kind of takes a nosedive for me. This so-called romantic connection between the doctor and the gal. Let's just say she got over Dad's death real quick with old Dr. D. The poor kid's death as a test subject was the most interesting imagery captured, mainly due to its lack of explanation. After that, the Stonehenge exposition is weird, kind of unnecessary. And the final demise of Cochrane is a total cheese fest. Honestly, it would have been way cooler if he had to slap on one of his own creepy masks and endured his never-ending commercial loop, but that's just the nihilist in me. The grand getaway at the end did manage to salvage a bit of continuity, but man, did they stretch that thing out way too long. It had its moments, but in the end it left me scratching my head and chuckling at the absurdity. For Mr. Tommy Lee Wallace, I hand you a C-. Now, get the hell out of my classroom, sir. All right, I'm going to rehash these fan scores from Rotten Tomatoes. We were playing a game for no prize, so we'll recap in descending order. Starting with the big man, Mr. Ryan Hootie, with a 38. Joey, a 35. I said a 25. The actual audience score for this film sits at a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's fucking crazy to me. After watching the movie.
It's crazy, even after having seen it.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So yeah, we hit it on the mark, but again, useless, since this was a mandatory bit of work here. If you rewind the clock back a couple of episodes, you may remember correctly that Mr. Joseph was due to choose the next film. So without further ado, what are we watching next, guy?
So me and Chris here recently, we went to a showing of this movie and saw it in theaters for obviously the first time because neither one of us was alive when it came to theaters. But yeah, question. Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Jenna Jameson. What did these people have in common? They goats.
Fucked a lot.
Well, that too. They're the goats of their fields. So next up, we got the goat of war. Let's take a trip to Georgetown in 1973's The Exorcist.
Whoa, we're hitting one of the big ones here.
We're swinging it.
I was gonna say that this was inspired by the fucking Exorcist. What is it? The Exorcist Believer. Apparently, this movie sucks ass. I watched it. I watched like a quarter of a rip I found online. Holy fucking shit!
Is it bad?
It's bad.
It's bad.
Wow.
I think they're doing a full trilogy out of it, too.
Oh, they're
so
doing a
there's more
full
to come.
trilogy, and David Gordon Green ain't gonna make it past the first one.
Let's pull up and watch this trailer here for 1973's GOAT, The Exorcist. Let's go.
Wow.
Man, I bet this looks badass in
Where'd
4K.
this come from? I found it. Well, let's
Ooh. This looks
Want
gorgeous.
me to play? Captain Howdy said no. Who's Captain Howdy?
You can tell they put money in just a handful of horror restorations.
It looks so
This is
much
the one you're
different
gonna
than it
do
did
that
in
for.
the theaters the one that we saw.
Which y'all's not 4K?
Well, no, they did it a certain way to where the film was like more blue.
Is there someone inside you?
It had like a blue hue to it.
Sometimes.
Who is it?
I don't know.
It's crazy how much
Captain Howdy?
this movie can still like scare you, you know?
How do you go about getting an exorcism?
I beg your pardon?
Ah, fuck.
I'm Damien Karras. I'd like to help you. Where's Reagan?
Is that the guy from Aliens?
With us.
Fucking voice, man.
I believe we should begin. Avoid conversations where the demon. The demon is a liar. He will mix.
How many times are we going to mention James Woods during this movie?
Not listen.
You know, it's weird rewatching it. I didn't even think about it once.
Wow, okay. Well, she stuck her tongue out. That's all I could think about was James Woods.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
I think in a lesser movie, I'd probably go there, but I don't know. This one's just hallowed ground, you know?
Yeah, but we're still gonna talk about it, guaranteed.
All right, Joey abstains, as this is his choice. So between you and I, Mr. Hootie, where do you think The Exorcist sits on Rotten Tomatoes user fan score?
If it's not damn near perfect, I don't know if there That's the correct answer. Exact number, I'm going to go 97.
I'm going to say 88. Alrighty, folks. Thank you for listening. Check out the website, horriblefilmschool.com. You'll find links to the platforms where the podcast exists, the Instagram, and the merch store. Give us a follow, leave a review, send us some badass Halloween masks. I'm going to say goodbye and offer my support to women co-parenting with an alcoholic absence father doctor. Brace to fight that ego and do your best.
As always, if you're hearing our voices, spread that love, spread that campaign. Tell at least one person you know about the show. They're going to love it, especially during this time of year, the Halloween season. And I get to go watch a very, very Catholic movie. And I'm out.
Thanks for all the likes, the subs, the listens, the follows, the downloads. We really appreciate you guys and gals' support, as well as your time and attention. Be sure to join us next time, where we turn some heads in 1973's The Exorcist. Class dismissed. Happy Halloween.